Thank you so much for checking out Tea and a Butty on YouTube. For exclusive content, please consider becoming a patron. Details are in the link of this video's description, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hello, and welcome to the Tea and a Butty podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
Today's episodes, we're going to be talking about cartoons that we watched on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
When we were growing up.
Yes. Dominic and I have, sometimes you wake up on a Saturday morning, even as an adult, and you kind of go, oh, you know what would be really good? It's like really gray and rainy outside. It would be so nice to just like turn on some Saturday morning cartoons and just like lay in bed and watch cartoons. And so we've tried to do that and fail miserably most of the time.
Yes, I need to film your reactions to that.
I don't know. It's probably the same thing adults did when we were kids, though. They were not, the cartoons were on, but they were not the ones that they wanted to watch. Yeah.
They're just like, oh,
And so they're just like, these are terrible. These are not good,
That being said, I don't think my parents, well, my dad at least anyway, or even my mother, watched much TV as kids, I don't get the feeling they did. They knew about things, they watched TV, and stuff, but I don't think they were like Saturday morning cartoon people, when they were kids. They were just playing with toys or whatever,
Yeah, your parents are
the lump of coal by the fire.
Your parents are a little bit older than mine. My mom was a kid in the late 60s, so she was
in
very
the late
much
60s. My parents were almost 20, so they were late teens.
So she definitely remembers and would tell me about watching Looney Tunes or whatever, Flintstones and the Jetsons and all of that kind of stuff, which they reran at when I was a kid. And at the time I thought, oh, these are new, these are new cartoons.
Yeah, they didn't put a year on them or anything like that, and I never thought like Scooby-Doo, or, because we had all that stuff too, Scooby-Doo and whatever else,
some things like Popeye, Mighty Mouse, like, you could, or like, you could kind of tell that they were old. Even when I was little, I could kind of tell that, oh, these are a bit old-fashioned. But they were still, like, colorful cartoons. It was like, they were still fun to watch.
Popeye was another one I watched. Yeah, I don't know if I ever thought, like, it was old,
Yeah.
I thought it was just some cartoon that they made about this sailor man, who made spinach out of a can. He's like, "Arr," like... What was his name?
Bluto,
that's it,
yeah.
And Popeye had this, like, voice,
Yeah.
And Olive Oil was just like, ooh. I guess so. Looking back in it, obviously you think, oh yeah, that was old. That was 1930s or whatever,
Yeah. I think that maybe I realized it because, at my grandma's house, we would watch a lot of old television shows, like black and white shows.
Yeah.
And so I could relate the cartoons to
the
show. To the shows, They reran a lot of shows, like from the 50s and from the 60s, I guess, when I was a kid.
Just a little, because I don't have them on my little list that I've got here, because they were stuff that was new when I was a kid,
Yeah.
But they had like Top Cat.
Oh yeah.
And that was about we had like a lot of American cartoons from the 50s, well, obviously like Top Cat and Looney Tunes.
I didn't really watch Top Cat that much, but
Top Cat. And
didn't he say things like Daddy-O and stuff like that?
Well, it was made in like the 50s, I think it was thing, and of course the Top Cat, the theme was old,
Yeah.
It was very, I remember that one coming on a Saturday morning. But yeah.
So we've had this discussion
Yeah.
many times over the years. So for this particular podcast, we figured we better just like kind of narrow it down to specifically Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they show cartoons like after school.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the evenings, and sometimes like, well, in America anyway, like on Nickelodeon, you could find them on the weekends off and on throughout the day, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of shows that we could realistically talk about. So
Yeah.
For the purpose of this podcast, we're going to try and stick just to Saturday morning cartoons. We both had a little bit of like trouble remembering specifically what came on just on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've only got 2 or 3 here on my list. I've got a list of 6, haven't I? Yeah.
Well, do you want to go?
And,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead with yours.
I mean, my first one is Rupert, which probably didn't come on. I mean, it must have come on over here, but you know, you just didn't see it.
I don't know. What was it about?
Rupert Bear.
Rupert Bear. I think it sounds familiar, but maybe just because I've heard you talk about it.
It was a British comic strip character. It used to come on the Daily Express in the 30s, I think.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they eventually made like they tried to market him as another bear that was like, you know, an alternative to Winnie the Pooh or Paddington and all that, you know.
Yeah.
A bear that had a lot of friends and lived in Nutwood, I think his place was, you know.
Yeah.
And he had his parents, I can't remember what they were called.
His parents.
He had his parents used to go out on these adventures and then come home, you know.
Yeah.
And he had all these animal friends and some human too. I think I can't remember their names now. I think Podgy Pig and Pong Ping and, you know, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Like and some human friends
Pong
too.
Ping, like ping pong.
Like ping pong, yeah. And Paul McCartney made a film in 1984, Rupert and the Frog song.
Oh, okay.
I think he had the rights to make a film, and so he did. And then of course he made the "We All Stand Together," which is considered one of his worst songs ever by British people.
Is that the frog chorus?
The frog chorus, yeah,
okay.
that was used in the film. It was like a short film that was released to coincide with Give My Regards to Broad Street.
Yeah.
And it was about Rupert Bear having this adventure. And,
was it very like animal rights-y?
I get it. No, I can't remember. Don't think I've ever actually seen that. But the cartoon that came out in 91 to 97,
yeah,
I've definitely seen. It had a cute little theme song. I played it for you just before the podcast, and you're just like, "What is this? What's that?" And I was just like, "Yeah, this is what I remember." And you know, it was kind of like like the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. It was that sort of thing. You know, every adventure was a new one. You know.
Yeah.
It was cute, and he lived in Nutwood.
There weren't a lot of ongoing stories in cartoons.
It was just standalone episodes. I mean, a lot
couldn't keep
today. I think since the late 90s, story arcs have been like the common theme in every major drama.
But I can't imagine they do that in kids stuff because kids probably can't keep up with.
Yeah, they're just like, I can't. Week to week. Maybe not. Yeah.
I never realized that how short some of these cartoons
10 minutes, 5 minutes.
When I was little, it was like, they were like full-length
show, you know.
And then as I got older, I was like, oh god, these are really short.
Yeah.
Like, watching like some of the ones today, a really cute one from today. My thing is the animation of today's cartoons is not really that cute.
Well, yeah.
So like even the one I'm going to mention now, which is Peppa Pig, the animation is not super cute, but the storylines are cute, the voices are cute.
Well, that's for very little children. That's for like kindergarten.
But those are like 5, because those are like 5 minutes.
Yeah, are they?
I think so.
Are they even 5 minutes?
I don't know. I think so, but yeah, like a lot of the Looney Tunes cartoons and all of those were quite short. And when we get into my list, some of them were like 15 minutes. They would break it up, but the show would be on for 30 minutes, but there would be 2 cartoons in that period.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, because kids don't have that long of an attention span.
They're just like...
yeah.
Look
over
gotta
there.
go.
Oh, what's that?
What's that down there? Next one was Banana Man. And that was a rerun because it started in 83 and ended in 86, so it was, I was born in 86, so it was rerun as a kid on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And it was another comic strip thing. He was it was a parody of superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Like Captain Marvel and Batman and Superman and all that kind of stuff, and he was Eric Twinge, I think his name was, in this show.
And did he shout, "I'm Banana Man" all the time?
I'm Banana Man. Yeah, or something.
I know someone who used to do that, so I don't know if that came on over here.
Maybe it did. Yeah, I'm imagining it might have done. I'm not sure, but it wasn't hugely popular.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it as a kid on Saturday mornings and thinking, what is this? Because it was like a comic parody of like the superheroes. He used to dress up like a banana man, like he had bananas on his like shoes and he just looked like a banana.
Yeah. He looked like a banana.
He was a banana.
Oh my god, it sounds very British.
Yes. And it had all this it was a comic strip first of all, but it did an animated series. I think Bill Oddie voiced some of the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bill Oddie, everybody. He's out there. If you don't know who Bill Oddie is, look him up. Dennis and Gnasher was another one. Dennis the Menace.
Oh.
Yeah, they made a little... in the 96 to 98, yeah. I remember I had them on video. And Dennis the Menace is a thing over here. I mean, I think it was a live action show over here.
Yeah, we mentioned this in another podcast. Yeah. Well, it was they made movies.
They made a movie, yeah. Dennis the Menace, I think in the early 90s, didn't they?
I don't remember if there was a cartoon or not.
There was definitely a cartoon. There was never a live action show of Dennis the Menace in the UK.
No, I don't think there was here either. These are two separate Dennis the Menaces, by the way. If you guys haven't heard us talk about this
they're two separate ones.
Podcast.
I think there was a live action one that used to come on in like the 50s.
Oh, probably.
I think I've seen that when I was looking at them.
I think so.
And he was a little blonde kid over here and everything. And,
yes! Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the UK, he was this black-haired kid with a dog called Gnasher and a red stripy shirt. And he was part of the Beano family, which was a comic strip. And he had Walter the Softy as his mate, and
Walter the Softy.
Yeah, and I think Walter the Softy was part of the Bass Street Kids, or the Bass Street Kids were another comic strip in the Beano, and they weren't directly related to Dennis the Menace, but they were like another one that I think Walter the Softy used to appear in their ones, and Dennis the Menace.
Okay.
But yeah, I might be wrong on that. Comic book aficionados would think, but yeah. That was quite a fun thing. It was just like, him going on adventures. It was like, they had like...
Getting into trouble
and stuff. I remember I had one where Billy Connolly played a character.
Oh, yeah.
Voiced a character. Hugh Laurie voiced a character. There was a lot of people who voiced characters and stuff on it. Yeah. But it only ran for like 2 years. I think they revived it a couple of...
Oh, yeah.
About a decade or so later,
Yeah.
Another one, and I think now we're getting into ones that came on in the afternoon because, as I said, a lot of the American cartoons were on Saturday morning. Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Animaniacs, all that kind of stuff, you know. But it used to come on later on, like CITV. Count Duckula.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a Dracula parody. David Jason voiced him. I think it came on
over here too, but I'm not sure about that. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was just a duck that was Count Duckula,
Yeah. But he didn't have
Igor,
anything to do with like
he had Gaston
Scrooge
and Pierre
and Huey Doo.
Not DuckTales. No, it was nothing to do with DuckTales. It was a different. It wasn't. DuckTales was Disney, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
This was Cosgrove Hall. And these last 3 were Cosgrove Hall, actually. They were like this animation studio. And the most famous one was Danger Mouse, which ran from 81 to 92. I remember that one.
I think some of
and
these
he was like
maybe
a secret
came
agent mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Parody of James Bond and the Spy and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and he was the world's most famous secret agent, you know, all that kind of stuff.
I think maybe these came on Cartoon Network.
They may have done, yeah.
Yeah. Danger Mouse.
I
feel like I've heard of that,
I think David
too.
Jason voiced him, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like the main guy of Cosgrove Hall. And then I remember a really funny series. It was a bit like Pinky and the Brain, but it was based on... It was like an offshoot of Count Duckula, because there was these two characters in there called Gaston and Pierre, who were like criminal French brothers. But they changed their names and called them...
Of course they were French.
They called their names and changed... They changed their names for this and called them Victor and Hugo.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, you know, they were two bumbling French brothers who had a business called Naughtiness International. And criminals would hire them to steal things, but they were idiots.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know, and
that's
they,
hilarious.
You know, and they were just like, it wasn't kind of like, you know, one was slightly more intelligent than the other. They had a parrot called Interpol, who spoke with a Cockney accent and was completely intelligent, you know, and knew what was going on. Because, you know, they'd get the criminals coming to them and saying, "Oh, we need something stolen, and you guys go do it," and they go and do it, you know, and then it usually screw it up, and they'd be in prison at the end.
And what kind of animals were they? Or were they?
They were human. They were people.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they weren't animals. No.
It's like, oh, what? Cartoons that were humans?
Yeah, they were human. Yeah, they were actual.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and that only ran from like 91 to 92, but I remember it a lot, and I remember it was quite hilarious, you know.
That's
because they had these comic French accents and everything, you know.
I wonder why they changed their names.
Probably because they weren't the original writers, but they liked. I think Gaston and Pierre were animals in Count Duckula, and they wanted to make them human. So Victor Hugo,
Hugo, yeah.
So Victor and Hugo, you know.
Yeah.
Criminal brothers, you know.
That's funny. Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the ones I've heard of are Count Duckula and Danger Mouse. Yeah. Definitely. I don't know if they came on over here, but I've definitely heard of them. So I want to say that they came on Cartoon Network.
Yeah. So it's over to you now with your list. That was my list. Now it's your list.
My list includes...
Everybody.
And these are cartoons that I would specifically get up early for because I could not miss them. The Smurfs is number one.
I remember the Smurfs.
Did it come on in Britain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Smurfs and the Moomins. The Moomins didn't come on over here, did
No.
They were kind of similar to the Smurfs, I guess, but it was like Swedish.
Yeah.
Swedish
You've
cartoon,
shown me the
Swedish
Moomins
or
before.
something, or Icelandic or something.
Look it up, you guys. It's weird, but it's cute.
It's weird, but it's cute.
But the Smurfs came on NBC starting in 1981. And it's funny because years later, my mom was just like, those Smurfs, they weren't, you know, that was like a weird... And I've seen other people, too, say that was really weird, you know, because they're just these little, like...
Blue people.
Yeah, they're supposed to be kind of like gnomes, I guess, like little garden gnomes, because the flowers
like
will
the
be really
Wombles
high
or something,
and everything,
yeah.
and the... You know, and they live in, like, little mushrooms and things, so...
The Moomins, I think, were hippopotamuses or something. They looked like hippos.
Yeah.
But they were, like, upright, you know? And they were white.
They had kind of long snouts, didn't they?
Yeah, I can't remember now. I mean, I remember seeing the Moomins. I mean, it was kind of like... There was some crazy stuff coming out of Europe. Like Pingu.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like a stop-motion animation show. And it's kind of game, but it was really popular in the UK, you know, and it was just basically like a little penguin,
yes,
and his family, and they didn't speak any English. It was just kind of like blah 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 blah. It wasn't any language really. It was just Pingu language, and they used to go noot noot noot, you know, and he's like,
yes, their little beaks would become like little horns.
And you had no idea what it was before you met me, did you?
No.
Because I remember you was like, oh, he's, you know, I was talking about Pingu because Erica likes penguins. And
well, no, I showed you this little video of a penguin in Japan, I think it was,
that went to the market to get fish.
That would go, would leave his little house. The
put a
owner would put
backpack
a
on
little
him.
backpack on him, and he'd go around down the street and around the corner to the little fish market to get a fish to take back home.
And they give him one for him, give him one to eat, and then they give him one to take home.
But his backpack was a Pingu.
Pingu backpack.
Yeah, which I didn't have any idea who Pingu was at the time. Dominic was like, "Oh, that's Pingu." I was like, "What?"
Pingu, yeah, he was really cute, Pingu.
But yeah, the Smurfs was funny because they really kind of like, they had the typical kind of cartoon storylines, like for kids, you're gonna learn something.
They had a
from
song,
the episode.
didn't they? They had like a hit song.
The Smurfs?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of the Wombles, which was a 1970s stop motion thing. And I don't know what the Wombles were. They were supposed to be like a cross between a badger and like a something else. Yeah, I don't think I've ever shown you an episode of that. But yeah, that's another cute show. But yeah, the Smurfs were just like animated blue.
Yeah.
And they had little white
pants on and little white hats. Everybody
and
except for Papa Smurf,
who had a red one,
red pants and a red hat, yeah, and a white beard. I don't know, he was a little bit Santa Claus-ish looking. And then there was Smurfette. She was like the only girl for a long time. She had these blonde braids and she wore a little white dress. And then after a while, there was I want to say Suzette. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
a little girl with red braids. Then, and she was like a little girl. And those were like the only two girls in all of the Smurfs.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious because they used to kind of cuss in Smurf language. They'd be like, "Oh, Smurf that, yeah,
Smurfing.
Oh, get your Smurfing face out of here," or whatever. They used Smurf to just like fill in whatever word necessary. And
that's
so
Smurfing useless. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's kind of hilarious.
You better
really.
Smurf on out of here, boy.
And of course, there was like a bad guy that I think he was a wizard.
A Smurfing bad guy.
I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, I absolutely loved that show. And the next one was Alvin and the Chipmunks.
And that hasn't really changed over the years, has it?
No.
That
theme. It still comes on. I think they've got a CGI. Is a CGI
It's a CGI version now. Yeah.
It's just not as cute, but And that came on NBC, and it started in 1983. But of course, it was originally created in the 60s.
Well, they had that novelty record, didn't they, at Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure there was plenty of material there.
Yeah. What was it? Me, I want a hula hoop. We can hardly stand the wait. Please, Christmas, don't be late. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was that kind of thing that happens, and it still happens now. Like, people who were kids in the 60s now had kids in the 80s, so they kind of revived whatever it was that they were into as kids for the new generation. Yeah. It was kind of one of those type of things. And it was cute, and, everybody knows the Chipmunks, so we won't go into them. The next one is Garfield and Friends, which came on CBS in 1988.
My sister loved Garfield.
It was so good.
That was a comic strip again.
Yeah, it started as a comic strip.
I used to have books where they had all their comics strips in them, like Garfield strips. My sister loved Garfield. I remember watching the animated show when I was a kid as well, but she had Garfield bedspread up until she was like in her mid-20s.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Probably still got it, actually.
I'm not really sure how long it was a comic strip before it became a cartoon, or if there was any kind of cartoon beforehand. I don't think so, though. But in 1988, it came out, Garfield and Friends.
Yeah.
And why the other characters on there were like kind of farm animals? I mean, I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, maybe I'm getting confused with the comic strip, but I do remember Sheldon, the egg.
Yes.
And they had him in the thing, he was just an egg with feet.
Yes. He didn't ever... And I remember you always talk about this one episode where they think, oh, he's going to crack, this is it,
No, he fell over and he cracked or something, and they were like, okay, Sheldon's going to crack. Because you were like, oh yeah, they never showed what Sheldon was underneath that egg. And, because he was just a feet. I guess he was a bird.
And underneath the shell
and he
was
like,
another shell.
It was another shell. Just like, boom, and he was just another shell. And they were just like, oh, that was anticlimactic,
But yeah, one of my favorite, it was not an episode particularly, but one of my favorite dynamics in the series was Garfield and Nermal. And Nermal was the little gray kitten.
It was just like...
So cute. Everybody just thought, oh, Nermal. But they were like...
Nermal.
They were like Nemesis. Yeah.
That Nermal.
Yes.
Hate that Nermal.
But yeah, there was like
Odie.
There was a pig. Odie, yeah.
Yeah, there was a pig.
Yeah, there was a pig. There were the supporting cast were like farm animals. I don't remember that they lived on a farm.
No, it was just John in his house.
John Arbuckle.
Yeah,
and he had Odie and Garfield.
Yeah, he had Odie and Garfield, and yeah.
One of my absolute favorite, because they would do Christmas specials of all of these
and he
cartoons.
liked lasagna like me, Garfield.
Yeah, lasagna was Garfield's favorite. One of my favorite Christmas cartoons is the Garfield and Friends Christmas episode where Odie's so happy and proud of himself because he made Garfield a present. And he takes him out. He takes him out to a barn, but I think they've gone to visit somebody, an old lady somewhere, I think. But he takes him out to the barn and he pulls off the, he's got it wrapped up under a little blanket or something, and he pulls it off, and it's like this little hand rake. And he's fixed it to something or other, I don't know, and Garfield's just like, what is this, and so Odie goes under it, because Odie doesn't talk, does he? It's just Garfield.
I think it's just Garfield that talks. Maybe Sheldon spoke, I can't remember.
He just kind of goes, what? But he gets under it, and he starts, scratching himself against it and rubbing himself, to show Garfield what it is, and it's like a back scratcher, and then Garfield's like, and gets under it. And then he loves it, and it's just such a cute little it's just such a cute episode. He's just like, oh yeah, thanks, Odie. It's a great Christmas present. Next on the list was my little brother's absolute favorite, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a
kid. If I'm being honest, I was probably just as into it as he was, even though
that
it was
and the real Ghostbusters as
well.
Oh,
yeah. And Batman. Those were
Batman,
it was like a block of three, boys in quotation marks, boy cartoons, that came on, one right after the other. But the Ninja Turtles, it was just it was meant for boys, I guess, but I think girls were just as into them. And as weird as it is, how that weird thing of when you're a kid, you kind of get a crush on a cartoon character sometimes.
That weird thing as a kid, yeah.
I had a huge crush on Michelangelo.
Because he liked the pizza.
Yeah, it's just he's so cute,
Michelangelo.
Okay, I just outed myself as being a weirdo, but
weirdo. Yeah, you're a weirdo because everyone liked Raphael.
Did they?
I liked Raphael. Was my favorite.
Raphael was cool, yeah, and then
Donatello. I can't remember doing much.
Donatello was the really brainy one, wasn't he?
Was it Donatello?
Or was it Leonardo?
Leonardo.
No, I think it was Donatello. Was very brainy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, Raphael was the cool one.
It was an aside on that is in Britain it was called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yes.
Because the word ninja was offensive. They figured the word ninja was going to be offensive.
And I was reading too that they replaced the Michelangelo's nunchucks
with something else.
With a grip hook.
It was a grip hook, yeah.
Grip hook, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess either someone the Japanese community kicked up a stink about it.
Yeah.
Or did Chinese, whatever it was, someone kicked up a stink about it and said to them, yeah, you can't have this.
Yeah.
So, it's Teenage Mutant.
So they
Hero
edited
Turtles.
it was the exact same song,
but they just put in Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
And then they edited out because
he's got his nunchucks.
Yeah, he's doing his nunchucks.
Yeah, it's like Michelangelo's nunchucks, and something, and they changed that bit,
Yeah, so weird.
Heroes in a half shell.
Turtle power. But yeah, because it was based on a comic book that had quite like dark overtones, really.
Yeah, and they lived in the sewers of New York City. Yeah, they were mutant ninja turtles.
It was for grown-ups, I suppose, or older teenagers or whatever. But they made it into a cartoon. It was absolutely huge all over the world, and so then they made it into a movie. Yeah. But in the cartoon, there were two bad guys, whereas they totally cut Krang.
Was it they cut Krang out and they just had Shredder in there? Yeah. Because Shredder was the main guy, I think. And then Shredder was always the one who was going after them, and they were fighting him and the Foot Clan and everything like that, Yeah. And then Krang was just like the brain in this,
They didn't have Bebop and Rocksteady in the original.
In the original movie?
Maybe in like the sequel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Bebop.
Because I know more recently they've made more Ninja Turtle movies. My nephew was absolutely obsessed when he was younger. Yeah. But yeah, it came out in 1987 in syndication, and then I think it came. They put it on one of the networks by 1990 when it came out as a movie then, and it may not have been a Saturday morning cartoon until the movie came out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know when we started watching it, but anyway, yeah. Quickly, the last one on my list, it's actually two because I couldn't remember if the first one I came up with was actually a Saturday morning cartoon, and looking it up didn't really help me, and that was Inspector Gadget. Boop, boop. Which came out in syndication in 1983. And it actually only ran for like 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
I don't know, yeah. I mean, I never watched it as a kid, but apparently other kids did. Yeah. I can remember having several friends go, Inspector Gadget.
I remember your best friend saying to me that he watched it. I don't know why we were talking about that.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget. I was like, I never watched it as a kid.
Yeah, it was so good, and I don't know why you wouldn't have liked it, because it has that bad guy in it, Dr.
Claw. Everybody figured because I'm into James Bond and everything, I would have seen it, but I was like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, Dominic's a huge James Bond fan.
Speaking of that, James Bond Jr., that was what I watched as a kid. That was another cartoon, just as a quick thing, but that was something that was made over here, and it only ran for like a season. And it's like forgotten now, and he was like the nephew of James Bond. Oh, yeah. And, it just basically parodied all the other...
Oh, God,
all the Bond films. Yeah, it was pretty terrible, but, it's kind of like a curiosity.
Inspector Gadget was a cyborg, which I didn't remember, because I have not seen that cartoon in years, but Dominic and I recently on Disney Plus were trying to watch the movie with Matthew Broderick. It was terrible. It's pretty terrible. It was terrible, you guys. We could not finish it.
They need to that's something they could remake, I think, pretty well.
Yeah. I think they
maybe
could
with a darker overtone or something.
They could probably redo the cartoon too. I mean, 2 seasons. Yeah. It was pretty popular for. I couldn't believe that it only ran for 2 seasons.
I think they were just like cashing in on like at the time the spy and gadget trope was pretty big, you know, in the 80s.
I didn't remember that the gadgets actually were part of him. I thought they were just like he had him on his suit, or he had him on his jacket, or they came out of his hat or whatever. I guess I was very little. I was very, very little when that was on. They reran it. So that's why.
I vaguely remember seeing some of it, but I was just not interested.
It only ran for 2 seasons and then it ended, but then they showed reruns all the time. So I think I probably saw it in reruns. But of course, Inspector Gadget was an imbecile, and his daughter Penny and her dog Brain were the ones that solved all the mysteries. And, and all of that. But yeah, Dr. Claw was always stroking his cat. Yeah. I always want to say Dr. Evil style, but Blofeld style, yeah. And then his evil organization was MAD, M-A-D.
Yeah.
But this one tied with one that I definitely could remember came on Saturday mornings, but apparently also only ran for 1 or 2 seasons, which I could not believe, and that is the Care Bears.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't remember seeing it, but, I remember seeing it, but not watching it.
Yeah, it was very smooshy. It was, like, definitely for little girls, I think, yeah. They lived in Carolina. Well, it debuted in 1986 on ABC, and it was just about,
them being cute, and they had, like, something on their stomachs or something that went, boo,
they would
something,
do Care Bears, care, and that's how they would solve problems. Like they would just have to care enough, and they would solve whatever.
They had like a hearts or something.
Their little hearts on their tummies,
would light up,
and each one was a different. So there was like Tender Heart. There was Birthday Bear, Sunshine Bear. They were a little bit like the dwarfs, like the 7 dwarfs from Snow White. Each one had and that was their personality. And then the little it wasn't a heart. Tender Heart was the only one who had a heart, but the rest of them had whatever their name was. So like Sunshine Bear had a sun on his chest and tummy, and Rainbow Bear had a.
It's all very cute.
Yes, it was so stinking cute.
It's too cute.
And they lived in Care-a-Lot. There was
Care-a-Lot.
The bad guy that they fought was Professor Cold Heart, and he was all lived where it was because they lived up in the clouds in Care-a-Lot. And then,
he lived in something where it was cold.
Yes, and it was all everything was icy, and he was they were always caring to break his spells or to get him or whatever. And they made actually a movie.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
that
the movie.
I owned on VHS, and is probably why I didn't realize that the show only ran for a season, because I probably watched that videotape over and over and over and over
and over.
And I had the little figures, I had all the little characters, and I had Care-a-Lot, which was like a heart with a rainbow slide for them to come down it, and you can move the sun for depending on what time of day it was across the top.
Gosh.
And there was a little cloud car that they went around in. Yeah, it was all it was all
very smooshy. It was all very cute.
It was all very cute. Anyway, we are out of time.
We're out of time now for the Care Bears.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know any cartoons that you particularly remember from Saturday mornings as a child. Let us know if you remember any of the ones that we mentioned or any others that we didn't mention. We'll probably do another episode about cartoons at some point.
Love cartoons.
Because we love cartoons, yes. But thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your support as always, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.